join me in welcoming Andrew Sutherland to the stage.
Gentlemen, good morning and a very warm welcome to Oracle OpenWorld here in Dubai 2019. My name is Andrew Sutherland and it's a pleasure and of course an honor to address you this morning. In this keynote, we are going to review the new and innovative technologies which are emerging from the Oracle stable. We'll look at not only what these technologies are, but perhaps more importantly, we'll look at how these technologies can be, and indeed are being deployed in this region and around the globe to derive real business benefit. And there are many such technologies for us to look at. Internet of Things is now really proving its value in the world of predictive maintenance and logistics management. Blockchain is starting to emerge, proving again real value in managing complex global supply chains. Of course, we'll talk about cloud technology. Now, in many ways, a mature technology, and it remains the only way in which we can hope to meet the deluge of information which we face. And we will talk at some length on that forever young technology, artificial intelligence. It's been an emerging technology for decades. And yet, as we will learn, when embedded into business applications and data management, it can truly drive business benefit. All of that we'll learn. These technologies are driving change faster than we've ever seen before. It's reshaping the very way in which we interact with one another as human beings, as consumers, as citizens, as trading partners. And it's disrupting businesses and indeed entire industries. But you know that. We all know that. Every minute of the day we're reminded that we're living in a world which is being disrupted by new technology. Perhaps the real question for all of us is, how do we harness that disruption and turn it to our advantage so that we can progress? Maybe to start answering that question, we need to ask another one. Why is this disruption occurring now of all times? What's driving it? What's driving the change and disruption around us is innovation, and it's occurring at a greater pace than has ever happened before. Now, I know everything seems to be moving more quickly. We're all growing older every day, and things seem to move faster. But innovation truly is accelerating. Look around you. Look around your organization. It's very visible inside Oracle. I've been there 25 years, and the rate of innovation today is many times greater than it was 5 or 10 years ago. And there are good reasons for that acceleration in innovation. Firstly, it's easier to form teams than it ever has been. And teams solve problems. Teams are the only way to solve complex problems with sophisticated answers. And we can form teams more quickly from around the globe than we ever could before, using a single instance HR system, internal social media capability, using the web, we can quickly identify groups of people with common interests but complementary skills. We form teams in minutes rather than months. We then provide these teams with rich collaboration tools, not just an occasional phone call or a video call, but tools that allow them to share and exchange their ideas. They construct ever more sophisticated solutions and innovations, intellectual property, which they can exchange around the globe 24 hours a day. Rich collaborative tools. But there's one more vital component in achieving rapid innovation. You need a laboratory. You need to have somewhere where you can test your idea. I've had a thought, I've had an innovation, I've had an idea. Will it work? Will it not work? How can I improve it? What went wrong? These laboratories we use, of course, are not with test tubes of glass and white coats. These are data laboratories. You can call them a data mart, a data warehouse, a data lake, but it represents the accumulated information of the organization. And it's an ideal place to test and retest ideas and hypotheses, to seek out insights which can then be turned into ideas and innovation. So we have teams of people being formed rapidly, we have rich collaborative tools, and we have a data mart, a data warehouse to allow them to experiment. The three key ingredients from which we can achieve explosive innovation. And there's more. Around about the globe, here in Dubai and in India and in Silicon Valley and London, much of that innovation is directed at technology itself. It's directed at creating newer tools which will in turn help us innovate even faster. So we turn from perhaps a linear progression to an absolutely exponential progression as we innovate in creating tools that help us innovate even faster. It makes us all think, once again, of what's possible. Because whatever barriers and boundaries we had yesterday in preventing us from doing something may well have disappeared today. What's possible needs to be asked every day as technologies continually improve and innovate. Where do you even start? Try this exercise. Think of a few things in your life or your business unit or your organization which are of value. There'll be a long list. You may have many thousands of things that are of value to you. I'm going to choose perhaps listening to music. I would pay for that. I'd pay for the pleasure of listening to music. Healthcare advice. I would pay for advice on my health. Every one of these items of value can now be subjected to the question, how is that value created today? Given new technologies, could that value be created more efficiently, perhaps at less cost? Could it be created more quickly using new technologies? How is that value delivered to me? Does it come on a bike? Does it come digitally? Given new technologies, could that item of value be delivered to me more cheaply and more quickly? Could somebody else deliver that value more cheaply and more quickly? And so we move from a world of buying vinyl records from retail stores to having streamed music from servers over 5G networks and Bluetooth headsets. It's the same value, it's pleasure of listening to music, but it's created and delivered in a totally different way. We move from a world where healthcare advice is dispensed by a man with a leather bag full of medicines and a head full of experience, to a world where healthcare advice is being delivered from an artificial intelligence machine via the computer or the phone in our hand. Same value, different creation, different delivery. That's what we are right in the middle of. And trillions of dollars of wealth are moving as that value production changes. Entertainment, communication, we've always valued that. And it's changing where it's created and delivered. And it's still happening. Netflix and Spotify are not the end of this disruption. They are the very, very start. Because as all of this technology innovation continues, so we can keep asking the question, and so we can continue to readdress what possibilities there are. It's the biggest opportunity, not just of our lifetimes, but probably for generations, to reassess everything that is created of value and delivered. The biggest opportunity for generations. It's also, therefore, the biggest challenge, to grasp that opportunity, to make sure you take advantage of it and progress. And that challenge lies upon our shoulders, us. Because everybody here, part of the same family because we have an interest in information management. You may be a line of business manager seeking to use information to improve your processes, an architect seeking to build information systems, a developer creating applications that use information, a buyer or a seller of information systems creating the vital marketplace that drives that innovation. All of us share that challenge. And the world's eyes are upon us. Government leaders, CEOs, increasingly turn towards information as the answer to many of the issues they face. I have an aging population. I need more healthcare. I have a smaller number of doctors. Answer, use information, artificial intelligence, to optimize that. I wish to deliver more packages and less fuel. Use information to optimize the resources you have. The challenge is upon us, and all of us have a role to play. The role of Oracle has remained remarkably consistent for decades. We create tools to allow others to manage their information better. We create the tools to allow others to manage their information better. These tools may be complete business applications. They manage your hiring process. They manage your financials. They may be platform tools that store and move your data. They may be infrastructure tools that crunch the digits themselves. More recently, we've made all of these tools available as a service from the cloud. You can plug in to that service. You don't need to configure and install and run it yourself. It's there. It'll flex as you need it. You can pay as you go. We've made them available as a service. But there is so much more innovation now. There is so much more capability in many of these offerings. We must learn how it's used in order to truly harness it. So I'd like to invite you, if I may, on a tour. We're going to take a tour of the development teams in a Silicon Valley titan. Oracle, been around a while. It's a titan with big ears. And these ears are in the form of hundreds of thousands of customers who have worked with these technologies for decades. And they cry out. The voices cry out. CEOs say, I didn't care some years ago, but today the security of my data is paramount. If I suffer a breach, you could bring down my organization, potentially even my government. And we listen to voices from DBAs who say it was fun managing a few hundred users and a few terabytes. But now, millions of users, approaching petabytes of data, it's not fun anymore. We listen to these voices. And we do the only thing we know how to do. We take these demands and we innovate and create new offerings. Now, as we go on our tour, it's always good to have somebody along who really knows what they're talking about. Preferably they're from the area themselves. So as we take our tour around the development groups within Oracle, I'm very pleased to say I've identified somebody who truly is a native of this land. This individual was literally skateboarding on the streets of Redwood City before it was a city, and actually watched the buildings of Oracle rise out of the bay in San Francisco. He is now the Senior Vice President of our cloud business globally. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Steve DeHeeb.
Thank you so much.
Hey, Steve.
Good. Thanks for having me. I'll tell you, I'm really excited to be here today. I'll just, for many reasons. One, I'll tell you, actually, DeHeeb is a mispronunciation of my name.
I'm sorry.
It actually is Dahab. And before I was skateboarding on the streets of Silicon Valley, my parents are actually both from Cairo, Egypt. So it's nice to be close to home. I told my mom, I said, I'm coming to Dubai. I'm going to have this big presentation with Andrew Sutherland on stage. And she said, just make sure you bring me back some dates on your way home. So that's, sorry.
Fantastic.
I don't think she realized how big of a deal you are.
Great, great to have you along, Steve. Great to have you along on the tour. Listen, our first trip, we're going to actually head up to DXB, and we're going to take EK3. We're not actually going to Silicon Valley just yet, Steve.
Yeah.
We're going to go to London, so we're flying EK3 to LHR. We're going to land in London. It's a little bit colder than here, a little bit wetter than here. But the city itself, of course, is full of noise, excitement, and color. People waving flags, Brexit yes, Brexit no, very noisy. We're going to leave London to the west, go up the Thames, past Windsor, where the Queen is, of course.
Yeah.
And we're going to arrive in a town called Reading. Because it's actually in Reading that we find the core of Oracle's business applications team. This is the start of our tour. Now, these folks have been very busy over the years. It's come a long way from early business applications, the green screens, allowing us to enter transactions for audit purposes. I sold this many things. I bought that many things. Now these business applications are geared towards ensuring that everybody in the organization is fully informed of what's going on. No making decisions through ignorance or in a darkened room, knowing everything that's happening in the business. These applications are geared to make sure everybody is engaged. They can make a change. They can fix things via the user interfaces. They can feel part of the organization and be productive. But, again, more than anything else, innovation.
Yeah.
Oracle is now embedding artificial intelligence into these business applications. Business applications will never be the same again. They're moving from being passive applications which respond to our requests and needs to being active business advisors, using machine learning to understand from history what might be the best course of action to take in any given circumstances. A continual, 24/7, clever business advisor. So Steve, now we're here in sunny Reading. I wonder if you could open the door and give us an example, perhaps, or more than one, of where we're embedding artificial intelligence.
Yeah, no, great question. I mean, part of our strategy is to have emerging technologies really permeate every aspect, every layer of our cloud, from the applications to the platform, to the underlying infrastructure that supports these new modern workloads like machine learning, like AI, like IoT. What we're doing is we're taking it out of the laboratory and we're doing the hard work to embed these emerging technologies as features into the services that we provide our customers. So for example, when we talk about machine learning, we've done the hard work to embed it into our applications so they become features that drive real business outcomes. So for example, it's integrated into ERP Cloud, which allows you to automate discounting based on market financials. It's integrated into supply chain management so you can understand what the best options and the most cheap options or reasonable options for distribution are. It's embedded into HCM. This is actually really interesting. It can create a profile of somebody who's been successful in a position based on tenure, based on education, based on region, what have you, and it can take that, automatically create it, and map it to pools of thousands of candidates, and then say, here are the top 5 people for that position you should recruit. I mean, imagine what that used to take us to do before. And then from a customer perspective, again, from a marketing perspective, it's about personalized marketing content. It's about understanding what you care about and being able to serve personalized content, personalized offers to you. So again, taking items like machine learning, embedding it into the application so they become features that drive outcomes. You know, Andrew, this is something we've been doing. And I'll tell you, it's not just machine learning. We talked about another example is what we're doing with respect to IoT. So IoT is another one where we're taking this technology and we're embedding it into the different application offerings. So for example, you can now do asset monitoring. You can do production monitoring. We can monitor the fleets that are out there with embedded IoT in our supply chain, service monitoring, and really interesting innovation with respect to the connected worker, whether that's real-time visibility into their health or to their safety, to the location, to the overall environment. These are things that we couldn't imagine being possible before, and this is how we're just sort of a little example of what we're doing. And it's actually the same for things like blockchain, things like digital assistants and human interfaces as well. And not only do we embed it into our applications, but we also provide an underlying platform to allow our customers to build their own technologies as well.
So that does sound like a platform capability, Steve, because I'm impressed that all of that technology is available to Oracle apps, but I maybe want to build my own application or have third-party applications make use of these same services. Sounds like we need to have an underlying platform that delivers that capability.
Yeah, let me talk about that. That's really important. And I think this is where Oracle is unique in terms of having multiple layers of the cloud and being able to seamlessly integrate the application layer with the platform layer. So where does an application stop and platform begin if we're talking about integration or analytics or security or extending and enriching the applications themselves? So what we do is we provide customers choice. We will build the features into our applications, but we will also have a development platform that has machine learning-based tools, IoT, chatbots, blockchain to enable customers to build their own. And that's just sort of the emerging technology aspect of this. Foundational to the platform is being able to lift and shift applications to cloud, to connect applications and extend their abilities, to get insights spanning data and analytics. And again, when we integrate insights with machine learning, it's not just about getting answers to questions you ask. It's about getting answers to questions you didn't even think to ask. And that's the power of what we're doing. And finally, as we move to cloud and we have hybrid environments, we have multiple clouds, multiple applications, data on-prem and in the cloud, it's important for us to take a hybrid approach to security.
Fantastic. Steve, I opened up saying we wouldn't just look at what these technologies are, but how they're actually being deployed to deliver real business benefit. Can you take us through a few examples of where we use this?
Let me do that. We have customers in every industry, every size, using different parts of our business applications. Again, we have the most extensive suite of applications in really the industry today. And we see that with different use cases and different customers adopting different pieces. Let me give you one example. You talked about the tour we were taking, right? Mine started landing in Dubai a couple nights ago, right? They actually use our HCM products and they consolidated multiple different heterogeneous HR legacy systems down to a single HCM cloud that supports over 90,000 employees, right? They also, again, leveraged the power of the platform, took our mobile technology, took our Java technology, took the integration cloud technology to actually enhance and enrich the functionality of that HCM solution. They did this and implemented it in less than 2 months with no disruption to their business at all. And then again, they're doing real things like empowering their mobile workers through the mobile devices with these HR tools. So just one great, I mean, it's amazing to see the amount of innovation we see just in the city alone, let alone the entire Middle East. Here's an interesting global example. This is RBS. They're a leading banker with almost 20 million customers on a global basis. It used to take them a month to deploy models, financial models. Now with Oracle EPM and ERP in the cloud, they're able to do that in months. They also got better insights and control, simplified their overall processes moving to cloud. And what they're exploring now with some of our other machine learning capabilities, which I know we'll touch on in a second, is this zero-touch automated forecasting without human intervention. It is like the holy grail from them. You know, what we see is our customers, I mean, they're really only limited by their imagination. We give them these tools, and what they come up with is really inspiring. And here's a great story from RBS. Let's listen to that.
Let's watch it.
At RBS, we're really customer-centric. We're really customer-focused. As part of the finance function, we want to help deliver that customer-centric approach. In order to do that in finance, we're looking at new technologies such as machine learning, chatbots, and blockchain. One of the challenges that we faced previously was to be able to model scenarios really quickly. And we weren't able to do this because of the number of spreadsheets that we had. Through the EPM cloud, we're going really, really fast. And I'm not talking years, I'm talking months to deploy and to make our models live. So there was 5 benefits that the Royal Bank of Scotland were able to achieve. The first and a very important one was cost effectiveness. Secondly, better insight and control. Thirdly, simplifying the processes. Fourth, a continuous innovation of a system being updated on a monthly basis. And fifthly, it allows us to move towards, in the future, a zero-touch rolling forecast. Zero-touch forecasting is our aspiration. We feel that the EPM cloud in the future will help us move to autonomous forecasts. What we mean by that is that the forecasts will run themselves. Now, we're not quite there yet, but the EPM cloud has put a great base in place for us to start to build towards that.
Fantastic. Autonomous forecasting, intelligent systems using machine learning to help the process of accurate forecasting. A challenge in any organization, in particular those with manufacturing supply chains. It can really make a difference to have accurate forecasting. A superb example. Let's continue our tour then, Steve. We're going to get onto the plane in London Heathrow now and leave this wet and cold weather behind us, and we're going to fly over to San Francisco. We'll actually take off in a northerly direction. We go over my homeland of Scotland, which you can look down at from the comfort of the plane, and then we'll fly quite close to the North Pole, coming down through Canada and landing in the Bay. A little bit further south of San Francisco Airport is Redwood City, and there are the hallowed halls of Oracle's database development group. Now, we all know we live in the information age, and we all know that data is, of course, the fuel of this information age. But data has its issues too. Unfortunately, it's relatively easy to steal. And if your data is stolen, if there's a breach in your security, it can be a pretty painful business thereafter. Highly expensive, possibly even destructive. And data, in many ways, is also actually fragile. Yeah. It takes quite a lot of time and effort to look after it. And oddly, the more it's used, the more valuable it becomes. Data is worthless if nobody ever touches it. The more you look at it, the more it's worth. So it's important to make sure it's accessible. Under security, but accessible and available all of the time. Now, the costs of that were reasonable, as long as the amounts of data were reasonable. But in a world of machine learning and artificial intelligence, we need more and more data. The costs of managing that data securely, making it highly performant, making it available, can become just too much. Maybe machines can again come to our aid. Maybe it's time that data stood on its own 2 feet, managed itself, and made itself available to us as a service. Enter the concept of the autonomous database. I can say with certainty from 25 years in Oracle, this is the most innovative offering I have ever seen come from Oracle. It's revolutionary. The concept of data managing itself. It's self-driving. It'll configure itself, install itself, scale up and down. If many people want to access the data on a Friday afternoon or a Sunday morning or whenever, it will scale appropriately. It'll make sure that it's configured to meet the workload requirements. It'll tune itself and add indices to make sure that it's speedy in its response. It's self-securing. It'll make sure that it patches itself when patches are available. It never falls asleep. It'll wonder why that data is being accessed at this time from that location. Very strange, doesn't figure in my patterns. It alerts itself. It's fantastically secure. And it's even self-repairing. If something does go wrong in the ecosystem, disk fails, processor fails, it'll actually look out its backups. It'll restore itself and bring itself back to health. Incredibly powerful. Now, Steve, these are amazing features. They're just what we would expect from Andy Mendelsohn and his development team. But do they really translate into benefits that we can take advantage of?
Yeah, let me talk to that. You know, we defined what the autonomous category for data management was. And these are the core category attributes. And now how do we map those to customer benefits? We'll take a view of that. Well, first, it allows you to reduce cost. Right? If I'm not spending time sitting there administrating the overall database, I can save up to 80% of the overall cost to admin. Also, as I only use resources I need, I scale them up, I scale them down when I don't need it. You can actually save up to 70% of the ongoing runtime cost. Right, from a security perspective, you talked about self-patching. Do you know that in over 85% of the cases where a breach occurred, there was a patch that was already available for that breach up to a year before it happened? So think about the power of a platform that self-patches autonomously, right? That allows us to secure our assets, as we talked about. There are real costs associated with breach, right? You also have reputational damage. You have shareholder value. People lose their jobs over this. So leveraging the power of machine learning and autonomous database to address security is a key differentiator. And finally, it does allow us to focus on innovation. If I'm not spending the majority of my time administrating and provisioning and tuning and troubleshooting, I can put those persons on higher value tasks, customer-facing projects, competing in the market, customer experience, employee engagement. I focus on what matters the most to my business. So that's the power we have. And what's interesting, if you look at autonomous database, and we'll talk about data warehouse versus transaction processing, it meets all the needs of all lines of business in IT. We talked about analytics. Look at the importance and the rise of use in analytics. From a finance perspective, just in the next year, there'll be a 3x growth in the use of analytics in finance. From a marketing perspective, we've already seen a 4x growth in terms of the use of data and analytics to understand our customers so we can better serve them. Our highest performing sales reps actually use analytics integrated with their sales. And finally, we've seen an incredible explosion in data as we build our teams, as we build out that sort of culture with respect to the HR systems. So again, from a line of business perspective, autonomous database solves all these needs. And again, we still address the critical needs of IT as well. Right, 80% of a DBA's time is spent on maintenance, right? Like almost half of the database administrators handle 50 or more databases. And then again, they do most of the work. So imagine autonomous, which allows us to reduce costs, reduce risk, while also focus on innovation. These were three seemingly competing forces that you never thought you'd be able to address. And we're actually doing that today with our offerings.
So Steve, this suggests autonomous databases are an inevitability.
Yeah.
There is no other way, as we see data explode, if we cannot find some new way of managing these volumes of data in a very short space of time, we'll drown under our own data. We'll throttle our ability to innovate because we can't administer the data. It's an inevitability that we have to have autonomous, self-managing databases. So Steve, that can only tell me that by the time my grandchildren are making their way in the world, I'm sure that every database will be autonomous. Our competitors are going to have to be there.
Yeah, I mean, don't count on it. So a couple things. One, when you look at our service offering, they do span two key areas of data warehousing and our transaction processing. So those are the key features that we do. But with respect to that, there really is a secret sauce to what we've done. So when you ask, will people be using autonomous databases in the next decade? Absolutely. but they're probably likely going to be Oracle databases, because this isn't just something you can do overnight. I'm not just slapping some machine learning on a database and saying it's autonomous. This is about decades, thousands of engineering's worth of database optimization, from 10G, automated memory management, to the latest and greatest we're doing in 18C and beyond. So this is the tuning that we've done to the database over time. We integrated with policy-based machine learning, leveraging this machine learning, and then foundational to this is an infrastructure that wasn't built decades ago to run retail. This is a purpose-built infrastructure for machine learning, for cloud native, for high-performance workloads. So it's really these three pieces working together that allows us to deliver these autonomous capabilities, and it's just something that others cannot do. The analysts believe we have at least a decade lead with respect to this technology.
Not a trivial piece of engineering at all. It's going to be a big effort. Steve, as we mentioned earlier on, of course, it's been available in the form of a data warehouse for some time. I spoke earlier of the concept of a data laboratory to experiment. Everybody needs a data mart. If you've got one business application, you need a data mart to allow you to slice and dice that data and innovate around about it. But it's also available in the form of a transaction, high-throughput transaction processing capable system now also. Same question as with the application, Steve. I wonder, we've got some, now we've spoken about what this is. How is it being leveraged? How is it being used in the world around us?
It's amazing to see the amount of companies that are already getting value out of the autonomous technologies. You have a company like Hertz that said it would take them 2 weeks to provision a database. They can do it in 8 minutes now, which allows them to focus on competitive actions, on customer-facing actions, rather than time just spent on provisioning. We have a partner like Accenture that tested the product to be 14 times faster than any other database cloud-based in the market. So we're seeing incredible take-up, even in this region. It's a leading telecom provider, Turkcell. They produce reports on 5 billion calls a day, right? They deployed an autonomous database, so it's self-tuning, self-provisioning, self-securing to minimize the administration. What they found was, moving to the autonomous database, they saw a 500% increase in performance of the reporting versus what they had on-prem. And then in terms of rolling out new databases and new data warehouses, it took them weeks, and now they can do it in minutes. So the time savings, time is probably more precious commodity than the data. What do you do with that time back? And that's what they're doing, focusing on how they better serve our customers. ADNOC is a leading fuel distributor with 360 gas stations. They service over 20 million visitors a year. They used ADW for faster provisioning, performance, and automation. They found that it was over half the workload reduction for their DBAs, and moving their data to the cloud, they saw a 10x savings versus what they had on-prem. So real customers, different industries, different use cases, getting value today. The next one is a global company called Data Intensity. They're an Oracle partner specializing in ERP and other applications. It's critical for them to provide 24/7 support for the applications they help deliver to their customers. What they found was a 10x improvement in their time of provisioning, 5 times higher performance than what was on-prem. Remember, that used to be the issue. If I move to cloud, am I going to get the same performance in the cloud as I get on-prem? The answer is clearly yes to that. And as they moved, they saw no downtime in performance and 0 disruption in admin. This is a great video. Let's listen to Data Intensity.
Let's do that.
Data Intensity decided to use the Oracle Autonomous Data Warehouse Cloud to solve a problem we had around finance and financial reporting. Our finance team were probably spending 60% of their time just getting the data out of systems, and therefore only for the remaining 40% generating value back to the business. We chose Autonomous because it was quick, easy, solved a lot of problems for us, and really suited our agile development. Some of the main benefits we got from implementing the Autonomous Data Warehouse Cloud was an initial saving of nearly $250,000. We're now seeing users getting page refreshes 4 to 5 times faster than they were before, and we're running on 10 times less hardware than we were previously. The flexibility of the Autonomous Data Warehouse Cloud is amazing. During financial reporting periods, end of quarter, end of year, we can scale the solution up to provide huge performance. The rest of the time, we scale it back down and we're barely paying anything. The biggest compliment we can pay the Autonomous Data Warehouse is we don't administrate the database. The Autonomous Warehouse and Oracle Analytics Cloud have allowed us to put a much greater user community together. We have about 10 times the users accessing the system we used to do, and all of those are driving value rather than just spending the time getting data out of the system.
Fantastic. Quite extraordinary words when you listen there. No database administration, using 10 times less hardware because of this clever capability of self-tuning. Really quite extraordinary. Let's continue our tour. This next bit we can do by car. So we'll jump into some SUV and we'll head over the Golden Gate Bridge and we'll go north through Napa. Try not to be too distracted within Napa. We'll go up through Oregon until we land in Seattle, Washington State. We're going to park up there outside the buildings of Oracle's most recent development team, the cloud infrastructure team. Now, I don't know how many Wi-Fi points or Alexas you've got at home or in the office, maybe more and more, but they won't be much use if they don't have any electricity or the building around them. And the building, in turn, won't be much use if its foundations are shaky, obvious. And yet, often in the world of IT, we forget the importance of the foundation. Too often we build elaborate, complex functionality and structures on a foundation which might work today, but won't necessarily work tomorrow when it's put under pressure and stress in a real cloud world. That worried us. It worried us a lot. It's easy to make things look good on the surface, but the foundation's vitally important. And this group in Seattle were concerned that many cloud infrastructures and architectures were really nothing more than an architecture that had been created 10 years ago for one organization and had just been expanded. But in the world of multi-tenancy, hyper-security, and hyper-scale, these architectures just don't fit. So they did what they needed to do and took a blank sheet of paper. Lots of big brains and a lot of experience, but a blank sheet of paper. It wasn't an evolution of an existing architecture. It wasn't a bolt-on. They created a completely new infrastructure for the cloud. They called it Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, designed from the start to be hyper-secure. The concept is to separate what's called the control plane. There are certain processors and computers in the cloud which control the cloud. Add a new user, increase this, decrease these resources. This control plane is accessed by the cloud's controllers. But the cloud controllers cannot access the compute and data that you use. Can't access it. And similarly, for those who are using the cloud compute and data, they simply cannot access the control plane and corrupt the information or hack. Super secure from the start. It was also designed to be by far the most performant cloud, the latest technologies, the highest bandwidth, the fastest storage capabilities, and designed in an architecture to provide extreme performance in hyperscale. This has given us immense confidence. We have the world's first architecture truly designed for hyperscale cloud. Means that we can now invest in data centers and building out our capacity globally. And we're also committed to ensuring that for cloud at customer, for those who use the database cloud at customer, a slice of the Oracle cloud inside your firewall, managed and looked after by us, the cloud at customer, we're committed to making sure that database cloud at customer is also available using the Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. Now, I've spoken of compute and storage, but Steve, there's a lot more to our Generation 2 cloud than compute and storage. We need more than that.
Yeah, there is. You know, when we talk about Generation 2, we are not just talking about the underlying infrastructure. There's multiple pieces. You have a suite of services that span app dev, and not just traditional Oracle development, but container native, serverless, chatbots, Kubernetes, bring your own containers. Integration is critical as we move to cloud. As we move things to cloud, we need to connect them back to what we have on-prem. As we do analytics, we need to be able to connect multiple data sources. Even if we have a multi-cloud, multi-hybrid cloud strategy, we need to be able to connect these pieces. That's how we get the benefits of the training and the machine learning and the insights. From an analytics perspective, it's multiple parts. It's about pulling the data together. It's about preparing the data, it's about analyzing the data, and it's about visualizing the data, and we provide that complete stack. We talked about security. The user is the new perimeter. Your ID is your new perimeter. And so having layers of defense that span users to applications, to data, to the infrastructure itself is critical to what we're doing. And in security, that's another area where we're embedding machine learning so you can identify anomalous behavior and prevent attacks before they occur. Just another example beyond just a self-driving database of what we're doing. And then ultimately, when we look at our cloud infrastructure, it is foundational to Oracle applications, and it is foundational, as I mentioned, to enable our autonomous database capabilities.
Generate a true second-generation cloud, both new infrastructure and a very full platform capability.
Yeah.
Let's go back to the infrastructure for a second again, Steve. And once again, as well as the what it is, how is it being used? Who's using it? To what effect?
You know, there's a growing number of amazing use cases, and it's amazing to see, startups in London using it for education to some of the biggest companies in the world. You have a company like OceanX. They actually moved off of AWS, or a loyalty and rewards company, moved to Oracle Cloud and saw a 10x performance improvement in what they were getting running on Amazon. There's a security company like FireEye that processes and secures millions of emails a day. They moved to our OCI platform, and they found that they got a 2.5 times performance increase, and they also cut their DR cost by 50%. So multiple different benefits. If you look at just this region, it's incredible. Al-Habib Medical Group is a leading IS healthcare provider, 300 hospitals and clinics. They actually are developing their own cloud-native applications for admission, pre-admission, post-discharge, and they built that on Oracle Cloud Platform. They did it, using Kubernetes capabilities as well. And then what's exciting, again, when you think about the power of the underlying infrastructure, they were able to take our AI, our machine learning capabilities to drive more predictive outcomes and more personalized treatments for those they serve. And then finally, one last global company, it's Alliance Group. They are a data provider for multiple leading consumer brands. They moved 6 terabytes lifted and shifted of OCI, PeopleSoft, EPM, Exadata, Windows, other non-Oracle workloads, and they shifted that to OCI. As they did that, they saw 0 interruption during their transition, and they're seeing up to a savings of $1 million a year in licensing and support. So the last video, customer video, it's always better to hear their stories or our stories, is Alliance Data.
Let's hear it.
So at Alliance Data, we provide the data, the technology platforms, the insights, and the analytics to run some of the largest consumer-facing loyalty and digital marketing platforms in the world. As we learned more about the Oracle Cloud infrastructure, we became increasingly comfortable with moving a large set of critical data, in our case 6 terabytes of mission-critical data, from on-premise to Oracle Cloud in our first move, and we run our most important parts of our business on that. We moved PeopleSoft and half a dozen supporting apps in a span of less than 5 months. I was very happy to report to my boss that the migration completed successfully with no business interruptions and ahead of schedule. I originally made the decision based more on operational and security reasons, but I'm pleasantly surprised to hear that we're saving more than $1 million a year. I'm very confident in OCI from a reliability and security perspective. I would say that I am sleeping better at night than I was when we were running our systems in a data center.
And what more could you like than being able to sleep better at night because somebody else is looking after your systems? And so our journey now draws to a close. We really appreciate your custom. We appreciate your loyalty over the years as we've moved through client-server to internet and now beyond. And we are most anxious to retain your custom. We want to provide the easiest path to the future for you to take. 0 downtime in making transitions. An easy move of existing applications and existing knowledge. We appreciate the investments in skills, time, effort, software that you've already made in ours and other systems. We recognize the need for coexistence over time. We don't throw the baby out with the bathwater in the excitement of the new. We look at the new and analyze which parts can really be used and where else must we coexist with what is already there. We seek to offer as complete a platform, if you so wish to use it in its entirety, an integrated platform with intelligence at every layer. Our journey has drawn to a close this morning, but as we all know, we're really only just beginning our journeys into the future world. And as we've seen, there's nothing more valuable than having a partner along who genuinely knows the terrain and can help provide company and guidance on the way. I know that on behalf of Steve and myself and all of Oracle, we would be only too honored if you would choose us as your partner for the journey into the future. On behalf of Steve and myself, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much indeed for your attention.
Shot run.
Thank you.